All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a true classic of French pastry. It's a special kind of dough that's the secret weapon behind some of the most beautiful desserts out there. We're talking about pâte sucrée. You know that moment when you bite into a really, really good fruit tart and the crust just shatters? It's not just a container for the filling. It's got this delicate, almost sandy, cookie-like texture that just melts in your mouth. Well, that perfect bite is no accident. It's all about the science happening inside the dough. So what is this stuff called? It's pâte sucrée, and its name literally tells you everything you need to know. It's French for sugared dough. And yep, that one ingredient, sugar, is the key to this whole thing. But here's the thing. The huge amount of sugar in this dough isn't just to make it taste sweet, not at all. In the world of baking science, that sugar is playing a massive structural role that completely changes the game. So here's the big secret. In this dough, sugar acts as a tenderizer. What does that even mean? Well, think of it this way. Sugar loves water. It grabs onto it. And by doing that, it basically keeps that water away from the flour, which means you don't develop a lot of that chewy gluten. That's what gives you a final crust that's short and crisp instead of tough like bread. Now, this amazing texture comes with a price. It's a trade-off, really. While you get that incredible, delicate, fragile baked crust, the raw dough itself is, well, it's a pain to work with. It's super fragile and can tear really easily. But that's what you trade for that perfect, crumbly bite.
To really get what makes pâte sucrée so special, it's super helpful to put it head-to-head with its more famous cousin. You know, the dough you'd use for classic pie.
So when you look at them side by side, it's pretty clear, right? Pâte sucrée is loaded with sugar, which makes it crisp and fragile but difficult to handle. Then you have pâte brisée, your standard pie dough, which has very little sugar. That makes it sturdy and flaky and way, way easier to roll out. They're just built for different jobs.
So you might be wondering, how do you even make this super delicate dough? Well, the technique is probably going to sound really familiar. In fact, I'm willing to bet you've already done it 100 times, even if you've never heard of pâte sucrée. It all comes down to the creaming method, and it is dead simple. First, you just beat your fat, usually butter, with sugar until it gets all light and fluffy. That's a super important step because it builds in tiny air pockets. Then you just mix in everything else. That's it. Okay, hold on. Beating butter and sugar together, then adding in your flour and eggs. Come on, does that ring a bell? Think about it. Where have you seen that exact same process before? If the first thing that popped into your head was cookies, you are 100% right. Yup, it's the same basic technique for making most cookies and even a lot of cakes and muffins too. So this supposedly fancy French pastry dough, it's really just a rich, delicious cookie dough that you press into a tart pan. See? It's not so intimidating when you think about it that way. Okay, so we've established it's fragile. It's basically a cookie. So where does this dough really get to shine? How do we take it from dough to an amazing dessert? Because this stuff is so delicate, you are not going to use it for some giant, heavy apple pie. It just doesn't have the muscle. Instead, this dough is the absolute star in smaller, more elegant things, like those little individual tartlets or petit fours. You can even just bake it as is, and you've got amazing little cookies. It's just perfect for those single-serving treats. And there you have it. That perfect, sandy, sweet crust isn't some unobtainable pastry magic. It all just comes down to a lot of sugar doing its job as a tenderizer. It's a dough that acts more like a cookie than a pie crust. So now that you're in on the secret, what amazing thing are you going to go create?